When I have personal trainers who come down to my studio to rent the space, or anyone who's done my online coaching program, we always go through an income form and what it is their targets are. And for most personal trainers, their target was always 5K a month. They're going to do 5K a month, they're going to do 30 to 40 pounds a session, and they're going to do 30 to 40 sessions a week. And that's how they structured their business. And this to them is framed as success. You see this online, 5K months, 10K months. You see it online, but for one-to-one training and to build a business that way, it's not scalable. And nobody talks about the cost. If you're doing 40 sessions a week of personal training, and on top of that, you've got your social media posting, you've got your adverts, you've got your emails, you've got your blogging, you've got your program writing, you've got your new calls, cancellations, whatever it takes to run your business and look after your clients, you've got to add that on top. And quickly, that 40 hours a week, that quickly becomes 55, 60 hours. And in your head, while you may think 5K a month's fantastic doing this way, what you've got really, you haven't got a business. You've got an incredibly demanding job. And I can talk to you through experience with this. When I first came to Liverpool, in previous videos I've mentioned this, within 3 months I'd taken on my first 2 personal trainers, but at a cost of doing 50 to 60 hours a week. So I'd take a load of clients on, build them up, take a trainer, a load of clients on, build them up, take a trainer. And it would just repeat that process until I built. But I knew what the bigger goal was, but that came as a cost. There was no recovery time, there was no downtime, there was no real thinking time about the business and how I can scale and build the business. There was no time to look at the programs that we were giving the clients, the content, the support. It was just literally work in the business, show up, get paid. And while I can try and justify it to myself in terms of it allowed me to build the business, if I was doing things today, it would be incredibly different to how I first started off. And that's because personally, I was physically exhausted. The first year of me building and running my business, it massively took it out of me in terms of bringing in new trainers and trying to scale the business in terms of getting clients in. And I wasn't exhausted because I was lazy or anything like that. I was exhausted because the model just demanded so much of my time. And this is a mistake I don't want you to make. You know, whether you want to be a personal trainer who works just for yourself and builds that way, or whether you want to do what I did and have trainers working for you, you don't have to do what I did at the start, which is to build to stupid sessions a week. There's so much more easier way. If you go and watch the video about the income streams of a personal trainer, I'll tag it below actually. And I talk about how personal training gives you that foundation. It gives you that way of learning to coach clients, learning to look after clients. But you don't need to do the 40, 50 sessions a week. Like I say, 20 sessions is enough. And from there, you can build that foundation. You're not going to become exhausted. You're not going to become burnout. And here's the truth. My business never truly took off until I was able to hand everything over to the trainers and step back and actually look at it as a business, because there's a massive thing that you need to understand. There's a huge difference between being a coach and being a personal trainer, and then being a coach and a personal trainer who owns a business. It's a completely different way of thinking. And for you as a trainer, for you to be successful, if you want to build that sort of income, you've got to be able to look at your business from a distance and look at how you're going to build it and how you're going to systemize the business to make your life easier and give your clients far better results. For you to fully understand and to build a business, you have a thing called a client journey. And the client journey is from the moment somebody sees either a post, a flyer, an advert, whatever it is, what are the steps they then take from that initial contact with your business right the way through to becoming a recurring member? And this is what you've got to look at. So ask yourself this. You put a post up today on Instagram. What are you looking for? What is the reason for that post? And when somebody does act on that post, is it a like? Is it a comment? Is it a DM? What is it you want them to do? And you've got to build that journey, and everything's done for a reason. You don't just post randomly. You don't just send emails randomly, blog posts randomly. There's got to be a reason why you do something specifically. And if you can understand this and you can build that client journey, then you can start to funnel people in and systemize it. So one of the things I did from the very start was the inquiry process. So if somebody was to send an inquiry to my business, what would be the next step? That would mean that they could just run through each channel before I actually got involved and made the sale. And this is what you can do today as trainers. There's so many softwares out there. ManyChat seems to be the most popular, but if we take ManyChat as an example, you can have ManyChat where you could put a post, someone makes a comment that sends a reaction to them, someone likes your post that sends a reaction. Somebody DMs you or follows you, that sends a reaction. Somebody sends you a WhatsApp, that sends a reaction. You can actually build that initial journey, and a lot of the legwork is taken out before you. So if somebody was to make an inquiry, the inquiry could go from an inquiry to a few questions, and then from the questions to signing up or to getting on the phone with you. There's so many steps you can do. Some trainers will prefer to go, you know what, buy from me straight away and I'll give you a full refund. Fantastic if that's the way you want to do it. Other trainers will be like, nope, I want you to fill out a few forms first of all. You fill these forms out, I'll collect all the data, I'll speak to you, and then we'll get on the phone and have a call. Think of the initial part. So look at it and go, you know what, this is how I want my business organized. So when somebody joins my program or inquires about my program, this is how I want it to run. And that's how you then start to build your client journey, because the systems, it doesn't replace you coaching the clients or structuring the clients. But what it does do, it replaces the whole sales process, and then it also replaces the support on the other side. So as an example, when clients would join my coaching programs, they would be put into a course. So everything I did was ran through a course, and it stems from clients asking me questions, me answering the same questions over and over again. And I was like, I'm just going to start making videos. And then from making videos, I would then put it together in a course. So we would have a section based around nutrition, based around lifestyle, supplements, habits, sleep. We basically built a whole program out. So when somebody came into my program, let's say, for example, they were running a 6-week challenge. If somebody came in, then week 1, they would have a module with all the work that they were meant to do in week 1. Week 2, the same thing again, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I knew that part of it was taken care of. I didn't have to send them food plans. I didn't have to send them recipes. I didn't have to have coaching calls with them all the time to go through their food, because everything they needed was systemized. It was online. It allowed me to step back. And those courses there also allowed me to grow their online coach as well. So you can see how you can scale other things just from having the products right. But look at everything that you do as a trainer. Look at every single step that you take and think, how can I turn this into an automated process so I can step back, the client can still get an incredible experience, get all the information they need and join the program, but it allows me to then focus on building the other side of the business.